All right, Vikings fans, it's getting to be that time of the year where we're going to look at our own team, of course, every single day, but we got to look around the division and take a look at some of these rivals that the Vikings are going to have to contend with in 2019. And really, at the end of the day, the road to the NFC North, it goes through Chicago because the Chicago Bears are the defending NFC North champions. So we're going to take a look at the Bears on the line today, and we're going to do it with Matt Spiegel, who talks about the Bears a lot because he is a radio host in Chicago. 670 The Score. It's 670 a.m. in Chicago. Now, Matt talks all sports. He hosts a show called Hit and Run, which is 9 a.m. on Sundays. So if you're in that area or you love baseball and you like what you hear from Matt today, you can check out that show. He's also a columnist at 670thescore.com. Anyway, Matt knows his Chicago sports and he knows the Bears, so that's why he's on the line with us today. Hey, Matt, how you doing?
I'm great. These are heady times for the Chicago Bears and their fans. It's been a long time since they've been this good and felt this confident going into a season.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe you've guided us to where we should start. Is that how you would describe the aura around the Bears and Bears Nation? Is some confidence coming off a division-winning season?
Yeah, tremendously so. Despite the first round playoff exit, Matt Nagy is a very likable, electric personality as a head coach. The team is incredibly energetic and interesting and young and fun, with some fun gadget weapons like Tariq Cohen and then on defense, Khalil Mack. The Khalil Mack trade just kind of lit everybody's football heart on fire last year, and it carried right into the season and beyond. And Roquan Smith, the middle linebacker from Georgia, by the end was playing just about as good as Mack. So the idea of the two of them being the Lance Briggs and Brian Urlacher of the next 4 or 5 years for these Bears is pretty fun. But the identity of this Bears team is offense, is that head coach, creative play calling, and a developing quarterback with weapons galore.
Interesting. You gave me nightmares when you said Briggs and Urlacher. So first of all, I don't like that. Please stop. But secondly, interesting to me that you say the identity of the team is offense, and not because I disagree or find it surprising, but it is interesting to me. You're right, though. Matt Nagy comes in with an offensive background, heavily invested in the quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky. I would imagine that a lot of this centers around the quarterback, Trubisky, and him going into his second year, working with Nagy, right?
Yeah, that's the thing, is that time in the system, just time and reps for the brain as well as the body, and the idea that any of the flaws or most of the flaws that you saw in Mitch Trubisky last year, the occasional flashes of inconsistent accuracy, were largely due to him not fully understanding what he was supposed to do and what his options are. And now he understands. This is the concept, is that Pat Mahomes had a full year in Matt Nagy / Andy Reid's system as a backup, and then look what he did when he stepped in. And that was his second year in the system. Look at Jared Goff last year in his second year with Sean McVay. And now here's Trubisky going into his second year with Nagy. So it's a very creative offense. It's a very complex offense. There's a lot of control for the quarterback, and the more confident he is, the more options there are in offense. And just Nagy and everybody just raving about Mitch and the work habits and his commitment to it, and how big a leap he has made already.
Yeah, and he's got something that drives defenses crazy, Matt, is he's got mobility. And the reason I say that is, it's very demoralizing for a defense when you've got a team in 3rd and long, and then you've got everything covered up, and then the quarterback breaks off a run and picks up a first down. Now, you don't want your quarterback to lean on that too much, but when you've got that in the arsenal, that's a good thing. And then the other thing I would point out also, Matt, you'll become more familiar with this guy, but we're already very familiar with him. Cordarrelle Patterson added to the mix for the Bears, and I think that's going to be significant too.
Yeah, I should have mentioned him when I talked about Tariq Cohen, because we're all wondering how Cordarrelle is going to be used. You saw what Bill Belichick did with him in New England and had him at running back sometimes, a guy that big and that fast. And, so it'll be very interesting to see how Nagy uses him. And yes, on Trubisky scrambling, he might have done it a bit too often last year in terms of of trying to run for that first down. Then we started to see really second half of the year scrambling to buy time and then keep the eyes downfield, which is what makes Aaron Rodgers so special, right? What made Patrick Mahomes so special to watch is when these guys can buy time and then throw from odd angles and be creative down the field. And once Mitch adds that with consistency, then you could be looking at that next level.
Yeah. Let's quickly, before we have to go, let's take a look at this Bears defense too, because it's obviously, you mentioned some of the talented players that they have on that defense, notably Khalil Mack, who really energized that group and played really well throughout the year. Now you have a change in defensive coordinator with the former defensive coordinator Vic Fangio becoming a head coach in Denver, and now Chuck Pagano, a very well-respected defensive mind, coming into the fold here with the Bears. I would imagine the talker there, Matt, is, hey, this Bears defense was really good. Hey, Chuck Pagano really knows what he's doing. And how much is he going to bring the Pagano flair to it, and how much is he going to keep the same, right?
Well, to his credit, he has a comfort with himself and kind of an egolessness about this, publicly and privately, from what I'm told. He's not changing terminology. He's learning their terminology. He said why, instead of teaching 30 guys or 40 guys come camp how to talk about things the Pagano way, he's learning the way that Fangio talked about things. So the learning curve is one person, and that's him, and it's a guy who's been doing it his whole life. So that level of just kind of self-awareness about it is exciting. The one thing we haven't touched on that we ought to is the kicker situation, because it was such a fiasco the last few years, and we all knew it was a problem last year with Cody Parkey, and they wouldn't cut him because they had all this money committed to him, and then there it was in the playoff game. It reared its head, and they lost on the missed field goal. There were other factors, of course, and then what the Bears have done is they had 7 different kickers in their OTAs, and they had kicking competition.
Oh, man.
And now it's down. I know. Now it's down to 2. And the front runner is this guy, Eddie Pinheiro, the former University of Florida kicker, who's got a lot of swagger and may be the guy. But the fact that they didn't go out and get an established vet of any kind, they grabbed 7 randoms and just let them fight it out, is not really engendering any more confidence in Ryan Pace's ability to find place kickers.
Well, you know what? Kickers, when you got a good one that you love, you got to hang on to them. You know what I mean? Because when
Robbie Gould might have been good to hang on to Robbie Gould, who's been dominant for the Niners the last 3 years.
Yeah, and he was dominant for the Bears for a long time. And I always tell people, I know Robbie Gould's numbers are good, or they're great, but they're even greater because of where he played half his games at Soldier Field. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But his final year, he was not very good. And he was also, you can check the numbers there, and he was also kind of a loud veteran voice in some ways that didn't go over with some other folks because he's a kicker. So apparently that has left a little bit of a lingering taste in the franchise's mouth.
Well, good luck to the Bears on finding a kicker. Vikings fans know very well that process and what it's like, and we like the one we have now. Dan Bailey actually 127 for 130 on PATs since it moved to a 33-yard try. So we like that percentage, Matt.
That's pretty good. So you're telling me we shouldn't call Blair Walsh? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying good luck to you guys on finding a kicker. It's like I said, when you got a good one, man, got to hang on to him. We're talking to Matt Spiegel at Matt Spiegel 670 on Twitter. If you like what you're hearing from Matt, make sure you check him out there on Twitter. Last thing, Matt, I cannot let you go and end the conversation without asking you a baseball question. We got a baseball team here in town that's off to a pretty good start. Do you think the Twins can keep it up?
Absolutely. They're super fun. Their fly ball rate is so high, and obviously the home runs are going out. So many players I love. Eddie Rosario is like your version of our Javier Baez. I love Rosario. He's so fun. And then Jake Odorizzi has remade himself and is a tremendous compliment to Jose Barrios, who is the real deal as an ace. So yeah, I think the Twins are the class of a very bad division, and will coast into the playoffs, and then we'll see what happens there. But I like their chances with Barrios and Odorizzi at the top of the rotation.
Well, October is an exciting time on the Major League Baseball calendar, and the Vikings and Bears square off right around the beginning of October. So maybe there's a conversation to be had in our future, Matt.
Sounds good to me.
Maybe.
I'm in.
Yeah, and by the way, very good job on the recommendation by our mutual friend Paul Charchian. Charch is a friend of the program here with the Vikings. He recommended you as a guest to talk about the Bears, and it was a very good recommendation. We appreciate your time, and I know you and Charch are close.
Yeah, Charch is the goods, as well as being a don in the fantasy sports mafia.
He is.
Charch is also a mensch, even if he's not Jewish and doesn't know what that word means.
Yeah, I think he can figure it out. So
I think he'll figure it out.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, we appreciate your time. Thanks a lot. We know you're busy. You took a few minutes with us, and we appreciate it. We'll talk to you down the line, I'm sure.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.